Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. A very happy new year to each and every one of you. Hope it was a good one, hope it was a safe one. To kick things off for 2025, I thought I'd do my most anticipated films of this year. Films that are coming out. Now these are in no real particular order. I was going to clip my live show that I did last weekend with a segment when someone asked what my most anticipated films for 2025 were. And actually going back to the clip section I did for my most favorite and not so favorite films of 2024. The audio's dog shit, the video quality's dog shit when it's uploaded to the cloud. So it's definitely one of those things where I have to really fine tune my settings when I go live, because I say I want to stream in 1080p and I look back and I'm like, that is super compressed. The audio is really blown out, like the mic blows out, whereas here it's great, obviously, because I fiddle with the settings. You know, I do like a bass boost and stuff like that. So I figured I'd just do another video dedicated to my most anticipated films of this year. Again, no real particular order, and they're like each ends of the spectrum, where you got like superhero, you got horror, niche horror, like schlocky horror for that matter. And I'm just going off the IMDb list of what's coming out this year, because off the top of my head, I have no fucking clue. And if you can see that, it's dried latex. Looks super questionable, but trust me, it's dried latex. Don't ask. So I think all up, I've got like 15, 16 or 17 films that I'm really looking forward to. So again, I'm going to be going through each tab that I have open on IMDb, go through it, just explain what I'm excited about, the director, just little bits of trivia here and there. So first up, we have James Gunn's Superman, which is due out July 11th, 2025. Now, I really liked what I saw in the trailer. Granted, there was a lot going on. I don't know if it's going to be one of those things once the film comes out, it's going to suffer from Spider-Man 3 syndrome, where there's just too many characters, too many villains. Like, you know, you're trying to stuff 10 pounds of flour into a 5-pound bag. But it did give me hope. It gave me the feel-goods, the warm fuzzies, made me want to run outside and do laps Rocky style. I still have my reservations about the suit. I think David Corenswet will do a pretty decent job as Superman, as Clark Kent. But I think this is going to be a very comic booky film. This is supposed to be the Silver Age of Superman, and we just get straight into it, which I really appreciate. Like, no mucking about, no real origin story. He's already established himself as Superman. Moving along next, we have 28 Years Later, and in my opinion, one of the best teaser trailers I have ever seen. Like, there are some cracker teaser trailers out there, but this one just set the tone. Didn't give too much away. I love the song choice as well, with that poem that was supposedly created in the 50s. We've got Aaron Taylor Johnson. We've got Ralph Fiennes in here looking absolutely shredded, because I think he got shredded for a previous film and he just kind of kept that physique for this film. Now, there was rumors of that particular zombie that we saw in the trailer. Everyone was convinced it was Cillian Murphy. That has since been debunked, and it's actually an art dealer, a UK-based art dealer that Danny Boyle saw and wanted to use in the film. But upon first inspection, you're like, that looks like a very skeletal, extra skeletal Cillian Murphy. He's just taken his acting methods way too far. Next up, and I actually did a teaser trailer reaction for it, is Happy Gilmore 2. Now, this is due out in June or July, I think. So written by Adam Sandler and also Tim Herlihy, who also helmed the writing duties for Happy Gilmore 1 alongside Adam Sandler. So that gives me a lot of hope that these two are back writing. Now, in terms of the cast, we've got obviously Ben Stiller back as Hal-El. We've got Julie Bowen, who in a recent interview said she did a lot of fly-in fly-outs for filming Happy Gilmore 2, and there are a lot of flashback sequences that kind of explain, you know, that pocket in time where it leads up to this point from where we left off in the first film when they get Grandma's house back. We've also got Benny Safdie in here. Okay, we've got Nick Swardon. I wonder if Rob Schneider's going to be in this. So this is a shot from the trailer. We've got Christopher McDonald back as Shooter McGavin, and they're going to face off once again. Ben Stiller as Hal-El, looking like an absolute boss. Okay, next up, it's Karate Kid or Karate Kid Legends. Now, this is due out May 30th, 2025. This is like the coming together of the Karate Kid multiverse. We've got Ralph Macchio, the OG Karate Kid, Daniel LaRusso. We have Jackie Chan from the Karate Kid remake with, what the fuck is Will Smith's kid's name? Jaden Smith? This is Jaden Smith, yeah. So it's the coming together of these two, and we have a first comer as well, the first time he's actually acted. What's the kid's name? Ben Wang. So they did like a massive call out for kids to audition to play the new Karate Kid, and apparently this kid has done nothing. This is his first starring role, which is quite interesting and very cool at the same time. Like, good on you, man. Like, he's done a short. Oh, he's in Mean Girls. Okay, all right. American Born Chinese. The Untamed as an extra. So that's cool, man. Good on him. Like, I'm keen to see him on screen. I'm keen to see his chemistry with Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan. The premise is Kung Fu prodigy Li Fong is uprooted from his home in Beijing and forced to move to New York City. When a friend needs his help, Li enters a karate competition. Li's teacher, Mr. Han, enlists the original Karate Kid, Daniel LaRusso, for help. Very cool. Very keen to see this. Again, it's the coming together of like the Karate Kid multiverse. Whether or not they're going to have tie-ins to Cobra Kai at this point, I have no idea. Next up, it's the Wolfman from Lee Winnell. I'm going to be honest, the trailer hasn't exactly sold me at this point. Now, this is due out January 17th, so, you know, good couple of days' time. So again, I want Lee Winnell to do something different, much like he did with The Invisible Man. Granted, I know not everyone liked The Invisible Man, but I really dug what he did. It was something different. Instead of, you know, the token dude with bandages and glasses on his head, it was dealing with a lot more heavier issues. And with the Wolfman, I want similar, but also I've seen like certain, I wouldn't say leaks, but little hints of the design of the Wolfman. Whether or not that is set in stone, I have no idea. And then there was that Wolfman, quote unquote Wolfman, that was at Universal Studios doing, I think, like a performance or something for Halloween nights, and it was like a preview of the Wolfman, and everyone's like, there's no way that is the final design. Regardless, I just want to see something different, but also a good story, and also see some damn good practical effects. Next up, we got the Fantastic Four, or Fantastic Four First Steps. So we've got a pretty packed cast. We've got Pedro Pascal, we've got Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, Eben Moss-Baccarat. I hope I pronounced that correctly as the Thing. So, look, keen to see where this goes. Again, this is the third time they've attempted the Fantastic Four, and I have a soft spot for the original Fantastic Four films, you know, with Chris Evans, Jessica Alba, Michael Chiklis. Actually, this is the fourth time, because there was that old Fantastic Four film from back in the day. But I actually dig Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. I've seen like them on set and how his hair's been styled and the suits that they're wearing. And this is supposedly set in the 1960s. So whether or not there's going to be time travel, I have no idea. I love Joseph Quinn as a performer, so I think he'll make a great Johnny Storm. He's good at being a smartass. He's good at being a brat. So I think he's definitely fit for the role. Okay, next up, it's Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. So we had Dead Reckoning Part 1 nearly 2 years ago, and they actually removed the Part 1 because this essentially was going to be Dead Reckoning Part 2, but now we have The Final Reckoning. So we have Chris McQuarrie returning. This is supposedly the last Mission Impossible film in the franchise, but then you hear bits and pieces that maybe this isn't the last one. I definitely think it's one of those things where if you're going to go out with a bang with ideas left in the tank. I think that's the best way to go about things, as opposed to going out on a whimper with absolutely no original ideas left whatsoever to inject into the franchise. Again, I just want to see Tom Cruise do absolute batshit insane stunts. Whether or not he's going to go into space, I have no idea, but there's footage of him dangling off a plane, a turboprop plane. So just being an absolute madman. Obviously, we've got Tom Cruise returning, Vanessa Kirby, Haley Atwell, Pom Klementieff is returning, which is cool. Nick Offerman, okay. Simon Pegg, where's Ving Rhames? There he is. I love Ving Rhames, man. I love him and Simon Pegg's chemistry in these films. Next up, and I actually saw the trailer for this for the first time when I went and watched Nosferatu the other night. Mickey 17, directed by Bong Joon-ho, who directed Parasite. Now, this stars Robert Pattinson with a very unusual voice. Very interesting choice. And that's what actually made me really keen to see this. Pattinson doing something different, which I love. He wants to steer clear of, you know, the poster boy look and do things different, things that challenge him. So essentially, this is like a disposable clone that they do testings on, and when they don't want him anymore, they dispose of him. I was actually watching Frank and Darren of The Slaughtered Lamb doing their most anticipated films the other day, and Darren made a good point. Is it going to be one of those things where the more he gets disposed of, and the more he learns, is he going to be more sentient and then, you know, have a heart, have feelings, have emotions and stuff like that. It looks quirky. It looks weird. I'm all for it because, again, it's something different. It's a fresh idea as opposed to remakes that we've been getting a lot of lately. Mortal Kombat 2. This is due out October 24th, 2025. This had a lot of delays due to lockdowns, COVID and stuff like that. I just really want to see Carl Urban as Johnny Cage. It wasn't my most ideal choice, but I love Carl Urban, and I think he can definitely bring something different to the table. I had a lot of fun with the first one. It was not a perfect film, but damn entertaining. The visuals were great. The character design was great. Now, Josh Lawson back as Kano. Okay, all right. He was definitely a highlight for me, man. I loved him in the first film. I Know What You Did Last Summer. This is due out in July 18th, 2025. I don't know if they've wrapped filming or they're still filming, because they're actually filming here in Sydney. I'm pretty sure they're wrapped now, because I've seen like the socials for like Sarah Michelle Gellar, Freddie Prinze Jr., and I think they're back overseas now. Again, this is like doing the direct sequel thing, you know, getting the OG crew back, legacy sequel. Keen to see where this one goes. Very, very big hit of nostalgia, because I love the first two films. The second film was so fucking goofy with what it takes place on the island and stuff like that. But I'm keen to see where this one goes. Whether or not it's going to be a distraction because they're a lot older now, I have no idea, but we'll see where things go. But yeah, they filmed this one here in Sydney, which is really random, but very cool at the same time. Next up, and this is a damn big guilty pleasure, Freakier Friday. This is due out August 8th, 2025. Whether or not this is going to be coming to theaters or direct to Disney Plus, I have no idea. But the return of Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan, I love the first Freaky Friday. I wouldn't say it's a guilty pleasure, because it's actually a pretty damn entertaining movie, and I really like the writing in it. I love all the performances in it. It's kooky, it's weird. I even love the brother in it. The brother is a funny little shit in that film, man. And then we have an official production still right there. In terms of storyline, as long as it's not a massive rinse and repeat, like clearly they're rinsing and repeating the fact that they're going to switch bodies, but under what circumstances now, I have no idea. Just hopefully they do something a little bit different. But again, this is like proper nostalgia for me. Next up, The Smashing Machine from A24. This is directed by Benny Safdie, writers Mark Kerr, Benny Safdie. We got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson playing Mark Kerr, a UFC champion. What got me intrigued the most is that makeup on Dwayne Johnson. Like, virtually unrecognizable apart from, say, his eyes and like his mouth. I want this to be a return to form for The Rock. He's just done so many roles where it's the exact same rinse and repeat shit. I want this to possibly get award buzz for him and stuff like that. Break out of his comfort zone instead of doing the same stuff. Really push himself. And by looking at this makeup, I hope that's the case. You pair this makeup with a damn good performance, I think we're onto something really special here. So there he is there. Like, he just looks so different. It's great. Like, obviously, like, got a head of hair now. There's that one, there's that one. There he is there. And it's a Safdie brother, man, who's doing this. Like, I love what they did with Uncut Gems. Apparently, they're going to be doing another film with Sandler in the near future, which is great. Okay, The Accountant 2. So I actually watched The First Accountant for the first time a little over a year ago. Seriously late to the game, because I was on such a high with Affleck after BVS, even though, you know, it wasn't the greatest film. I just loved his portrayal as Batman, and this came out around the same time, The First Accountant film. And I really liked it. Him and Anna Kendrick work well together. I like the premise. I like the fact that, you know, high-functioning autism, and he's like a savant. Just the idea that he smashes his leg, you know, whilst playing death metal and all that to kind of calm himself. But just how much of a fine-tuned killing machine this guy is. I actually think it's a really good performance from Affleck. Something a bit different. Keen to see where this one goes. J.K. Simmons is back. John Bernthal. Affleck, of course. Is Kendrick in it? Okay, no mention of Anna Kendrick. All right, fair enough. Okay, next up we have Predator Badlands from Dan Trachtenberg, who directed Prey. Prey was a nice little surprise a couple of years ago. I love how simple, intimate it was. In terms of if this is going to be a period piece, it takes place in a certain era, I have no idea. There is very little on this at the moment. We also have Elle Fanning in the film, and that's pretty much all there is. There's a shot from the set. I'm assuming that's Dan Trachtenberg. Yep, that's him right there. And a glimpse at the back of the Predator's dreadlocks. So that's all we've got for now. Again, I just want to see something different. I love the idea of it taking place in a different part of time. I would love to see a feudal Japan Predator film, just like Samurai Predator, or like, you know, the samurais going up against a bunch of predators, and the predators take their armor and like scrap build something together. Because there's just something so samurai about the Predator with the design. I just loved it. It just makes sense to put them in feudal Japan. Nobody 2. I had no idea that they were going to be doing a sequel. And again, I was very late to the game with watching the first one. Bob Odenkirk really breaking the stereotype from what he does with comedy and playing an absolute old, weathered badass. The first one was great. We've got Christopher Lloyd as well. Now, Christopher Lloyd is returning. Bob Odenkirk, Connie Nielsen playing his wife. Now, in terms of the director, was that the director of the first Nobody? So VHS 2, VHS 94, Killers. What else has this dude directed? So from what I can see, this wasn't the director of the first one. So the premise they've got here, suburban dad Hutch Mansell, a former lethal assassin, is pulled back into his violent past after thwarting a home invasion, setting off a chain of events that unravel secrets about his wife Becca's past and his own. Okay, cool. I think what I loved about the first one is just how realistically brutal it was. Like, case in point, that scene on the bus where he's beating the shit out of those guys and they're beating the shit out of him, and they're like taking breaks, like, you know, he'll hit something and like almost breaks his hand, and he's like trying to comfort his hand, and he gets thrown out of the bus, and it's just super realistic. I loved it. It wasn't like, you know, John Wayne shit where the hero always wins. Like, no one really walked away winning out of that fight. Coming in at second last, we have The Black Phone 2 from Scott Derrickson, writers C. Robert Cargill and Scott Derrickson. We've got Mason Thames returning as Finney, Ethan Hawke as the Grabber. So I'm assuming this is going to be an origin story, a prequel. The first Black Phone was a nice little surprise. You know, I didn't agree with everything that I saw in the film. I thought it gave a little bit too much away in terms of visuals, and I wouldn't say what was doing the damage, but the entities that were helping Mason Thames' character. But also Ethan Hawke, man, he was great. It was cool to see him do something a little bit different. I loved the setting. I loved the production design, the costumes, the performances were great. So keen to see where they go with this, but from the sounds of it and the looks of it, it looks like it's possibly going to be a prequel. And last but certainly not least is Pinocchio Unstrung. About a month or so ago, I did some coverage of that beautiful, practical looking puppet made by Todd Masters and his crew for this film. Yes, this is probably going to be a very schlocky film like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, the mean one, but just looking at that puppet really intrigues me, but also I'm a sucker for anything with Robert Englund, who is playing Cricket. We have Richard Brake as Geppetto. He is a wonderful character actor. And then just, again, look at that puppet. And also just the footage from Todd Masters' shop of the puppet in motion, like full-blown practical animatronic puppet. Pair that with some, you know, quippy dialogue, some damn good gore, some interesting gore, some different gore, and you have me sold. And there you go, guys. Those are my most anticipated films of 2025. Well, for the most part anyway. There were a few more, but those are the ones that really stuck out to me. Mickey 17, I'm actually really intrigued to see how that one goes. I have a feeling it may develop a bit of a cult following, but just like Pattinson doing something so different. Of course, Superman, Mission Impossible, whether or not that is going to be the final Mission Impossible, I have no idea. With that being said, let me know down below your most anticipated films for this year. Love you guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.